Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush. Let's sling some paint. All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Path of the Brush. I'm your host, Rick. We are here at Thunderforge Studios in Lansing, Michigan. And big shout out to Gen Con TV for allowing us to be here every Wednesday, except for last Wednesday because I was at New York Comic Con, to sling paint and talk about all cool things that go on in the painting realm. We don't have a guest today because I wanted to not harass anybody today about my post New York Comic Con experience. So I just figured Mark and I would have a little discussion about it. And if anybody has any questions about what went on at New York Comic Con in our realm, because I went there and ran their paint and take, their first ever paint and take, and it was a bit insane. It was awesome, but it was insane. Or was I the crazy person for taking on that responsibility? Probably a bit of both. So today we are going to be painting some Animal Adventures, Secrets of Gullet Cove, the Rat King of Gullet Cove miniatures from Steamforge Games. It's a pretty cool miniature set. I have them all out of the box here. So we've got this big creature here that's got like an amalgam of multiple rats all kind of like morphed into one creature. There's some were rats here. There's, I think, 4 different were rats that you get in the box. And then of course you get the Rat King, who is riding on like a throne on the shoulders of a human jester, which is, I think, kind of fun. So yeah. All right. I'm going to be using speed paint and other Army Painter paints. And because, thank you to Army Painter for being our sponsor, and to Game Envy as well, who provided the brush and the hobby handle, which I can use today as I paint these wee little rats, these were rats. And I don't know what it is about were rats, Mark, but they're one of my favorite villains to use in a fantasy game like Animal Adventures or just Dungeons and Dragons or any iteration thereof that allows you to bring them to the table, because they are super fun. You dirty rat. They're just the best. And I think a lot of other people enjoy them too, because obviously they seem to find their way into a lot of games. So it's crazy. We had, as soon as we started the broadcast, we had like 34 people in here, and then they're all like, painting, gotta go. I was like, what? Stay, hang out. They did. Well, what's funny is the reason I wanted to paint these is because there was a little bit of a snafu in that these were the miniatures that I have here were meant for New York Comic Con, but they did not arrive in time. So they're waiting for me when I got back. And I figured, you know what? I'll do a little episode here featuring these bad guys. And then tomorrow at Hoplite Games, my game store, I will do a paint and take there for the local community featuring these miniatures. And then I will run at a later date, anybody that comes in and paints a cat or a dog, or one of the character classes that are available, miniatures, I'll run a one-shot adventure for them in the world of Animal Adventures at the store. And I think that'd be a lot of fun, and introduce them to a whole nother world that they can play in, where they can take on the role of a dog or a cat adventurer. And what's weird is like I have walruses, seagulls, and a lot of other character creatures that you can play. So we'll see. We'll see what everybody decides to paint and do. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
That sounds a lot of fun. Did you ever see that Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities? It came out, I think, last Halloween. Episode 2 is called Graveyard Rats, and it has a bit of a Rat King in it. No spoilers, but
nice.
Very on topic.
Very cool. I think Guillermo del Toro is a freaking genius. So with he has the Troll Hunters animated series as well. I don't know if you've ever seen that on Netflix.
No, I haven't checked that one out.
Yeah, it's super fun. Um, you know, the animated where one is a troll hunter, uh, and then the has a wizard friend, and his other best friend gets like a warhammer and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So when you turn your mic on, which it's on right now, I get major echo of my voice.
I'll make sure I turn that off for you.
I'm like, I can hear myself thinking and talking, and then I get all confused. And like you ever watched the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes?
Yep.
The the way to defeat them is to confuse them, get them confused and angry.
Nobody else can hear it, I don't think, but
No, I'm sure they can't, but I can, and it's confusing me.
no throwing anything over there.
I won't. I want to though.
I wanted to throw a quick shout out of the game, Animal Adventures, right?
Yeah, we got some photos. There we go.
Yeah, just a quick one here. Some
Nice.
details.
Yeah, so that's the beginner's box. It comes with a exclusive miniature of that dog with the long sword in its mouth, which is super cool. It's a great figure, and the adventure in there is really fun. You're going up against this crazy doctor, uh, like mad scientist guy, which I think these miniatures that I'm painting are semi part of that potential adventure as well. So it's pretty slick. What else we got here? Okay, so these are examples of the cats. So you have the monk with the bow staff. There's like a wizard, a bard, a warrior. The warrior has like that weird armor, the cat armor. And then there's like a cleric or a sage that's on top of the books. But the miniature sculpts are so freaking good. They're so good. My next paint I'm going to use is called Murder Scene. It just seems appropriate to the situation. Not the miniatures that I'm painting, but when you turn your mic on and I hear my voice. There's going to be a murder. Bang. All right. Anywho's, for everybody watching, if you haven't yet, please give the like and follow there on the Gen Con TV button here, the heart and the bell, so that you don't miss any of the programming, not just Path of the Brush, but all the other amazing shows that take place here on Gen Con TV. There's so many great content creators making super fun content for everybody. As an example, there is on Mondays, you got Peter versus the Machine, board games with the brothers Murph at 4 p.m. Dress to Quest. Wednesdays is Path of the Brush. It's not on the schedule here yet, though, but it will be hopefully someday. Actoroki at 6 p.m. Pacific, so right after us. Thursdays, Blood on the Clock Tower and Roll with Rem Alternus. Fridays, Table Takes presented by Gen Con, Table Takes Game Night, and Sarah's Table. So, and I think there might be more programming now on the channel as well. So make sure you hit that button, the little heart there, and the bell. And if you didn't know, you can, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription to a Twitch channel using your Amazon Prime account, and that helps support the channel and all the awesome content that is being created. So go and do that. Use your Amazon Prime if you haven't already to support Gen Con TV. That would be great. So yeah, this murder scene is like this like dark, bloody red speed paint, and it looks really cool on the. So all the were rats have these like hoods, right, that they're wearing, and I didn't want them all to have the same hood color. The reason being is, when you're running a D&D campaign, you got to have a little bit of a differential between each character, so you can be like, the red hood has taken 6 points of damage, or the green hood has taken X amount of damage or has initiative. So you can track, and one of the best ways to do that is have them each look a little different. And I figured these hoods would be the best way for me to differentiate between them all. So yeah, and this murder scene is actually a really nice color. It's rich. It's kind of almost like a burgundy um, color. So
And if you watered it down a little bit more, what kind of color does it kind of turn into?
well, let's find out. I'll put a little. I'll pull some up and put another little pit here and give a little water to it, and I will do a little thing on the base here. Let's see what happens. And it looks like it just thins it out, because the thing with the speed paints is it has 3 different densities of pigment. So you have the heavier pigment, which will fall into the deep cracks and crevices, a slightly lighter pigment, which should hit your more flat surfaces and give you a little bit of depth um, off of the dark ones. And then there's an even lighter pigment that gives you almost like a highlight effect. So as you can see here, you got a deeper, like unsaturated from water on the hood, so it's got a deeper, darker red going on. But because I saturated down here, it's much thinner. And I'm going to paint over that with black.
It is nice though how it thins out. It
Yeah.
does come up with like a nice red in case you
Yeah.
didn't want to go all the way deep.
Yeah.
Depends how deep you wanted to go with that red.
Right. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to share this in some groups and stuff. See if we can get some more people to come over and hang out with us. We'll go here to my personal page, be like, come watch us paint miniatures. Paint some at Steamforged Games minis from Animal Adventures. Live now. Beep. We'll post it, make it public, slick. So this is one of those things when you're doing live streams like this, that is just one of the downfalls, right? The hiccups, if you will. I wouldn't so much say a downfall. I'm gonna go to Hoplite Games, which is my game store. We'll post it there too. Be like, hey, come hang out with us. And then we'll go to Painting Happy Little Minis group, which is a group I used to do a show called Painting Happy Little Minis with Dave Taylor, and we still have that painting group. Let's see what we do.
I'm gonna pop a couple of details of the miniatures. We got a few more up there, so let's pop those up real quick.
Cool. All right. Very cool. All right. There we go. All
so
right.
there's your pirate dog with the sword in its mouth.
Yeah, it's so good. Look at him with his eye patch, just looking all sorts of piratey. I'm the pirate dog, new here to Gullet Cove.
So buckle my collar.
I dare ye. It's so good. And that was like I said, that's an exclusive mini only found in that that box set. Whereas these other miniatures that also come in the box set can be found in different packs as well.
That's always fun when they do that. It gives you a real incentive to kind of get that exclusive content and kind of make it your own.
No, absolutely. The I really enjoy like the Cavalier, like Cocker Spaniel with that flamboyant hat, and also the I want to say it's an Shibu Inu with the lantern, and then there's the Paladin Mastiff. It's so good. The cats are great too, obviously, but I'm a big fan of the way that these particular dogs look in these photos and sculpts. So now I'm using a green orc skin green for the next hooded portion of this were rat. Again, just to make sure that they're all slightly different for when I put them on the table. And if you all pay attention, if you currently aren't following Hoplite Games on Facebook, you might want to, not for no other reason than to watch over the next couple of days. I'm going to be putting photos up of the city I'm building called Larns Port that I'm going to have at the store. That it's going to be the place where a lot of adventures are going to take place. Little one shots I'm going to run for customers. It's going to be in the city of Larns Port, and that's where I'm going to run the one shot featuring these characters as well. And you're all going to want to see that build out. It's going to look really sick. At least I think it's going to look sick. Others might go, oh, this guy, the worst. And I'll be like, that's fine. It is what it is. But I'm going to be using a lot of Warlock tiles and to build it out. And you've seen my build out when I had the city over on that table here.
Yeah, super impressive. It'll be a port city though, so like some Stormcrest may bump into that port at some point.
The Stormcrest is going to be moored there. It's going to be the starting point for a lot of Stormcrest Chronicle adventures, which will be a lot of fun. The Stormcrest Chronicle. So I have one of the ships from WizKids. It's called the Falling Star, I believe. It's at the store already. And I thought what would be super fun is to do one-shot games featuring different people who are members of the crew. So if someone says like, hey, would you be willing to run a game for us, say Thursday or Wednesday night from 6 to 10? I'd be like, absolutely. Right. And so they will be the 4 or 5 characters that'll be a part of the Stormcrest crew going on a one-shot adventure. And I kind of want to run it like the Lower Decks animated series for Star Trek, because it's supposed to be comedic, right? And
that's fun.
Yeah. So every episode or every one shot will be different, and it'll kind of be curtailed to the characters that they bring, and what is their ranking on the ship, and why are they the ones being sent out? It's like, yeah, you guys are literally boatswains. You are expendable.
Yeah, you're the red shirts, right?
You're all red shirts.
Now that'd be fun. Yeah, the one shots are very enticing. I think it's people that are newer, to RPGs and just like time constraints. I mean, it's tough,
Yeah. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and so that's one of the reasons why I like tomorrow at the store we're going to be doing a paint and take featuring more miniatures from this particular brand and line, and I feel that the community will really engage with it. I think. And it'll be a lot of fun to see what kind of characters they put to the miniatures that they're going to paint and bring to the table. Because how cool would it be that there's a bunch of animal creatures that are also members of the crew, but they just appear to be like companions, right? But they go on their own adventures as well. Only to each other.
They can only talk to each other?
Yeah, animals. I know in the Animal Adventures they can talk. They can talk to all creatures.
But that makes sense. Okay, so it's kind of like a 101 Dalmatians type vibe, right?
Yeah.
They can only. I just watched that with my daughter for the first time, and it's scarier for. I mean, there's some scenes. She's like a little kid, like a toddler, and I was like, man, Cruella is like really freaky. As a, I don't remember being as freaky. And they're like smoking pipes and cigarettes. It's like 1960s, right? So it's a.
Yeah.
I was like, that wouldn't fly in Disney now.
No. But I think it'll be funny if all those creatures, the cats and dogs, actually can only talk to each other and communicate with other animals, and not the humans, the human adventurers that would also be parts of different one shots. But someone could come in and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to go on this adventure too, but I am a cat or a dog from." I'll be like, "Absolutely." So for everybody watching, if you were to play in an animal adventure scenario, what would be the kind of like animal, cat, dog that you would want to play in class that you would um, skin it with, if you will?
And I'll throw some more of these close-ups of these, the ones from the actual Animal Adventures, so they can get some ideas.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hopefully, we can also get Steamforge to share this out when they wake up, because they're over in Britain time, right? Doing Britain time stuff.
Having some fish and crisps or chips.
Is it that time? It's probably like midnight or something there.
They're just having a pint,
Yeah.
I imagine it's all a Guy Ritchie movie over there, like it's all Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch or like one of those Guy Ritchie flicks.
I actually think you're right. And they speak real fast. Right. So,
Real Northern Cockney,
yeah.
There's a hairless cat.
A raccoon ranger for sure. That's cool. Oh yeah, the Egyptian. I want to say it's skinned to be a sorcerer, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it's got those bells on it. Um, yeah, it's a cool miniature for sure.
Kind of looks like Mr. Bigglesworth. Don't eat our kitty.
Yes. It's an awesome miniature. But I like that El Cuz 9, a raccoon ranger. So like a rocket raccoon.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So I'm gonna put some gray over the fleshy bits that they're showing on this miniatures on the were rats. It looks so good. These miniatures are so amazingly sculpted. I love one of the things I like about the 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 Steam Forged Animal Adventures and their epic encounters is it gives you more toolbox or tools in your toolbox to throw at your party members when you play in a D&D game, or any fantasy game where these would be relevant. Um, it gives you just different options of pose and stuff. So I do enjoy giving those different options of pose to my characters. Because as I'm painting these were rats, as you can tell, they're kind of crouched down. They have torches in their hands, and it speaks to like what kind of encounter will you be in where you're going to see them and they are requiring to be carrying torches. Because I don't think rats, even were rats, would necessarily need torches, right? Because I feel like they would have some sort of low light vision anyways, because rats are nocturnal, right? So they're probably already really adept at traversing through night and all that. So they don't necessarily need a light, but so why would they have one?
Pyro. They're just pyros.
Yeah, they're there. Maybe they're there to set something ablaze, like you said. Like maybe they're arsonists. and you're trying to prevent them from uh, setting a particular building or some sort of stores goods uh, ablaze, and that is the mission you're on. And obviously, they don't want you to succeed in your mission. And I also like using like rat swarms as well. So there would definitely be rat swarms involved in anything that these would be a party to. All right, I'm going to use some carmine red. I'm not sure how I feel about that gray right now. I'm going to let it dry. I may not do the other rats in that same color scheme, but we'll see. I'm going to use this carmine dragon red to see if as a base to the torches, and then I'll do a little orange and then a little yellow to get the rest of the torch looking like it's on fire. Maybe even some whites on the edges. What is for those watching? What are some creatures that you like using if you're one of those forever DMs? What are some creatures you like using to throw at your party as like a staple in your campaign? Obviously, I think I've actually talked about were rats multiple times on the show throughout season 1 and 2 so far, and also gnolls. I love gnolls; they're so amazing as bad guys. So, what does everybody else like using? And if they're not gnolls, I don't know why, because gnolls are the best, as are were rats. How about you, Mark? You don't really play D&D or as a DM. You're more of a player, right?
Yeah. So I DM'd a couple of times. I just did the starter set, right?
Hmm.
It was good, but yeah,
Okay.
definitely I enjoy being a player more. I would like to learn to do more. I like to spin a tail, um, but
Nice.
it's tough to go out of the books themselves. I feel like it's a lot of book work, so it is fun to create your
Hmm.
own. So like the whole backstory creation, I think is a lot of fun, and that Game Zero to be able to like intertwine the
Hmm.
storylines and how those work
Yeah,
together, I think is a lot of fun. Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, sometimes some of the 5e modules they're great, and they've got some of the classic ones that they brought back. But yeah, it is like you're feeling like you have to do a whole college, the college works essay to read everything and then
Hmm.
like remember it and then recite it back. So if you're creating your own maps, you're kind of vested a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's funny is I've heard it from multiple sources about that playing any role playing game is basically like homework the game for dungeon masters, right? You're doing all this homework, uh, math, science, because you'll have players that if you do something that in the real world is not a natural occurring thing, but it would be based on the information you give them, they will correct you quick.
Yeah, they want the real physics in it and everything,
Right.
right? It is difficult too playing with multiple. I think I've talked about it before, but like you've got some people that have maybe just started out, and then some people that are
Hmm.
more senior players that are like reading the meta, and people that are jerks with their iPads, like right at the table, like looking up what's the best spell that they can do to kind of like ruin things, and
Hmm.
they don't want to. Sometimes they don't want to follow your hooks, and they don't want to
Yep.
go down it. So you have to have at the ready,
A
thousand
thousand opportunities.
NPCs at the ready, So
Yep.
have you ever used the NPC cards as like, or
No,
created your own or just off the top of your head? How do you like to do
I
it?
usually just do it off the hip. If someone's like trying to throw a wrench into something, I usually can pull something off the hip to either not to so much railroad them back onto the line, but when you're doing a one shot, it's not an open world event. It's you're there to do a story from start to finish in the 4 hour playtime you're given.
Especially who you're playing with as well. Too, like you're going to I don't know, like a blackjack table or something like that. And if you're not playing by the normal rules, the rest of
Hmm.
the tables are going to kind of get angry at you, anyways, right? So
Oh yeah,
yeah, but everybody should be there to have fun, right?
agreed. Agreed. But I think that's one of the things too that a lot of people feel like that everything should be open world, like a video game. Uh, but when you're telling a story or a one shot that needs to be told in a very limited amount of time, and you got to get from start to finish, because it might be something important maybe for another future event, sure, but you may never play those same four characters again. And I'm not if I can't get through the arc in the 4 hours, well,
People are dying.
yeah, something's going to happen in the
Yeah, because you
world
don't
at
have to
large.
carry them on. They don't have to,
Yeah,
they don't have to move on
yeah,
and excel to the next level. I also
exactly.
think goblins are fun. They're like the most base model, the base model thing. But I mean, that was one
Hmm.
of the first things I painted a bunch of. And you can do some cool things with their little tribes and how they interact and you know,
Yeah.
do they see you? You do roll and lookout properly. You roll,
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting. They're always moving
Goblins
in
are fun.
shape. Yeah, much like rats, little people.
Yeah. But what's also interesting is if you play your cards right with goblins, they don't necessarily come, they don't always have to be these low CR rated monsters or NPCs. You can put some some heat on them, right? It may be a goblin, but it might also be a fifth level artificer, right?
There you go. Yeah, you get some of their bugbear brethren in there, and
Hmm. Or they might be a third or fourth level cleric or a wizard. You just skin them with attributes, but not obviously not everybody in the goblin tribe is going to be these, because to be a hero in any culture in a system is a pretty fantastical thing, right?
yeah,
Um,
boss. It's a boss level.
yeah,
Playing shinobi, and that's your little boss at the end, right?
yeah.
Throwback there.
There's more civilians than there are PCs or character class types.
A lot of the
Right.
worker bees, the drones, if you will. So if
Yeah,
you're infiltrating maybe their hideout, their dungeon, whatever, you might be able to slip past some of them, but some might get you
yes.
right.
Someone might be like you got the raccoon ranger here in the chat. Someone might be a goblin ranger who's like has high alert on all the time.
What weapon would you play with if you were doing that? What would be would you do a crossbow or
If I was a goblin,
no, if you're a raccoon ranger, I don't know if he's still on, but what would he be doing?
oh man, that's a good idea. That's a good question.
A slingshot would be amazing, a slingshot and like trash
Mm,
or something would be I think would
yeah,
be
you're zapping them with
yeah,
trash.
yeah, like that'd be amazing.
That would be freaking hilarious. I mean, take on the trash panda uh, concept, rate it 100%. I think like a hand crossbow would be kind of neat.
Maybe one
Um,
that's like even on his real wrist or something like that, like
oh, sure, yeah,
what was that old Sean Connery movie? Was the Green Knight or something? Remember that old
yeah.
and he had
Was
a
with Sir Gawain?
wasn't there a sword that came out as well of like this
I don't remember that.
I think so. Anyways, if he had one of those and a crossbow on his wrist, that'd be amazing. I'm going way
Yeah,
deep
you're
on
going with
that.
that. That's not bad. I actually approve.
He already has the claws. He's got little teeth. He might have the
Yeah.
rabid bite, and that could be like a special thing. Like some poison.
Oh, you don't want a rabid bite. That means that you are sick.
Right. Yeah. And
So
you'd have to put that condition on yourself, right? And you'd be sick for
yeah,
the game.
yeah, you're gonna die. Or that could be the reason, like in a one shot, why you're on the one shot. The raccoon has come down with rabies. You have to go find a witch doctor on this island to find the cure to this particular type of rabies that they've contracted. And every so often you're rolling to see if you go full rabid and start turning on your companions. And obviously you're going to get hydrophobia. So you're gonna be running, you'll be scared of water, and it'll get angry, start foaming at the mouth. That'd be a fun adventure. It's like your companion's sick.
It's kind of like playing that insanity rule for some other things, but yeah, and then or you could, maybe a potion would knock that back down to zero. But
Hmm.
how many times you're going to give your companion all of your potions, your healing potions or your
Right.
HPs, right?
Yep. That's super funny. All right, now I'm going to put a little bit of this demonic yellow onto the lantern, or the torches, um, to get again make it look a little bit more flamey. Ooh, I didn't mix that enough. See if this. Oh, y'all hear that?
I, I
The
wish we had a
agitator.
close up of it. It's his agitator. It's
It's
agitating me now.
it's super agitating. God dang, it's not. Didn't mix it well at all. I need to put a, a BB inside that. Let me use one of my brushes here to see if that'll mix it up a little better. That's unfortunate.
Let's get a close up of this bubbly monstrosity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gross.
gross.
Got any hot dogs for that mustard?
I know,
I
right?
know, right?
Oh man, I had some great New York street meats while I was there. Uh,
You sure it wasn't rat swarm?
it could have been.
Could have been.
I wouldn't have been upset.
Upset.
Tasted great.
Is that a falafel or is that a rat swarm?
Whatever it was delicious. And I had four meat sticks. So it's just unidentified meat. It's chicken,
Yeah, right.
but it's on like a skewer.
It could have been
Skewer.
that city chicken, which is pork, right?
Yeah, could have been.
Either way, those are fun. I like street food.
Yeah, it was right outside the convention center, and you know, the first night there, I was like, I got to just get my street meats in, and so I did.
Delicious.
Yeah, and then we had. That's one of the great things about going to New York City is the options for food at restaurants is so good. It's so good. We ate at Tir na Nog, which is like this Irish pub place one night. We ate at the Bloodhound, the Bloodhound and Tooth, or Tooth and Bloodhound, another Irish place one another night. Um, and then we had Dim Sum Palace, a Chinese restaurant.
You went from potato eaters to dim sum. Very nice.
Dim Sum, yeah, and that was delicious, and that was a really fun evening out. And then on Sunday after the show, we just got the heck out of New York. Yeah. And ate at this diner in Jersey or PA or something that had been on like drivers, drive-ins, and dives and stuff. And the food portions were just ridiculous.
That's
Yeah.
fun though. Yeah, at least you didn't get stuck in like Newark. That's like
Right.
that's not the place you want to be.
No.
But yeah, New York City's amazing. All the stuff that you can do there.
Yeah.
Any big city like that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
The energy. Did you get the vibe like when you start rolling? Because you drove, right? So when you're rolling into the city and you're seeing the skyscrapers, just like the history and
Yeah,
all the energy from it.
Yeah, you start getting some levels of excitement based on what you're seeing, for sure. Um, and of course, don't want to say nostalgia pains, but there's a level of uh, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of, like you said, history. There's a lot of New York has a lot of history. If you ever watch like Gangs of New York or um, uh, well, I always go to Gangs of New York because that was such a
It is a great one. I mean, Ellis Island and all the
yeah.
the immigrants coming over. It's it's America's history, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So seeing all that is kind of cool, and experiencing the city in that capacity would be a lot of fun if the opportunity presented itself to really get exposed to all that. But with the con, getting out and actually exploring the city is a lot more difficult than one would think. But in the evenings, because right after you're done with working the con, one, you're already exhausted, right? And then you're like, we got to get food. So the hunt is on, right? So you're out looking for food.
And everybody else is there. So it's a bit of a rat race, pun very intended.
Very intended.
And so you're like, how can we go not too far away to get back to the hotel, but like get something decent that's, not super pedestrian.
Yeah. So there's always, so all that takes place, but I think that's part of the charm, right? Because New York never sleeps, and it's a mile a minute, right? That is everything they ever say about it is absolutely true. It is it is a well-oiled machine of people just running around doing their thing. So
Yeah, a lot of interesting people watching can be done there, right?
oh,
So like
yes,
all the wild people you can imagine are definitely
yes,
there.
they're
You know,
all there, and it's glorious. It is glorious. I personally could never live there. I do enjoy the occasional visit I get at New York Comic Con, New York Toy Fair, um, and those are pretty much it when it comes to my excursions into New York, or for those two events. But they are what they are, and they're fun. So, but I'm glad I only go twice a year. So, all right.
no, very cool. So tell us what about a little bit more about Comic Con. Like, what were some of the people? You know, whether because you were doing the paint and take a
Hmm.
little bit off of the show floor, but it was in the art area specifically. So
It was in the gamer zone.
the gamer zone. Okay, so were
Yeah.
you introducing some new people that have never painted before? Because it's a bit of a crossover as well, right? Because not everybody that collects comics or read comics plays games. Some do, some don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, a
so
lot of it was just that they were folks that I would say way more than half painted had painted their first miniature this weekend, right? So introducing so many people to the hobby of miniature painting is amazing. Um, and like I said, there was a ton. We easily had uh, over 3,000 people come through just to sit down and paint.
we had
We
it.
had it where once it got full around the table, people were then just sitting on the floor around. They were taking our boxes and putting them up and making little tables and everything. And the convention center had used like the wrapping plastic that you use to wrap pallets, right? They had used that to kind of like protect the floor because it was carpeted. And when they realized that I'm painting, they're like, we got to protect the carpet. And so they did like these multiple lanes of that plastic, which turned into just a giant bubble wrap thing that people were walking on. And everybody that has like ADHD or some sort of like um, where they land somewhere on the spectrum, it was amazing to watch them just kind of like stem this big time.
Yeah, it's like playing with a ball, ball of
Oh,
string.
it was great. They could literally take a 40 by 40 room or something and just do that, lay that plastic out and just put a little stanchion around it and just put people in it. There are people that would have stayed in my booth all weekend just to chase the bubbles because the bubbles don't pop. They just move, but give you the value of popping bubble wrap because you'll hear it go, but it would just move the bubble into some other portion of the plastic. And there are people that like kids that were just running around on their hands and knees chasing bubbles. It was hilarious. But like I said, yes, the majority of the people that came to the booth and participated in the paint and take were new painters, had never painted a miniature before,
It's
and
wonderful.
were amazing at it too. It's like, hey, dang it, why are they so good already?
It's amazing to do crossovers like that, and for
Yeah.
them to it just expands the universe so much more.
Yeah, and the hope is that they'll find some peace and some enjoyment in it and become a hobbyist. They don't have to necessarily play the games to enjoy painting miniatures. Um, and what was also interesting is how many kids like under 12 that came through and painted was quite a bit. Like the families would come in, they'd find that and they'd be like, "Yep, we're gonna do this." Put our Set our kids down for an hour, get them out preoccupied with something else, and when they found out that the kids enjoyed it and it kept them like focused, they're like, "How can we do this at home?" And we had some kits available for that, which was nice, so they could expand the hobby beyond just playing doing it at the convention.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, all the kids that are learning to do it, and the crossover. I mean, there's a lot of all the new Marvel games that are happening now, and all the DC games, and all the Zombicide,
Mm-hmm.
Zombiverse stuff. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of tons of cool stuff that they could just
Oh, absolutely.
paint or play or both. Yeah.
Yeah, and we gave away Galactus from the Marvel Zombicides game. while we were there, and it was kind of funny as a individual who stopped by on Friday in the like before we were like even set up and ready to roll for the day, and was talking about their campaign and Dungeons and Dragons stuff and everything, and then they were standing in line. They had gotten their raffle ticket and around the same time when we did the raffle for the Galactus on Saturday, and they were the winner, and they were like, "What? Oh my god!" It was really fun to
Watch
watch them get super
That's
excited.
awesome. Especially
Yeah,
since they already were invested in the booth and they
mhm,
came around and they were just like,
yeah,
having fun, right?
yeah.
That's what it should be about. The good conversations you can have. And you're going to be
Mhm.
doing a mini version at your store, right? Is
Yep.
it this Thursday?
This we're gonna do it every Thursday,
Every
but
Thursday.
yeah,
All
every
right.
Thursday will be paint night hangout.
I got no excuses and I got to show up one of these.
You just gotta show up and paint miniatures. Yeah. We'll try to have some free miniatures for people to come in so they can, get their feet wet in the hobby. And Animal Adventures will be this week's free miniature offering, and which is going to be great. And next week it could be something else from a different company. And you know, just getting more people excited about the hobby of putting paint on a miniature. Because the show's called Path of the Brush, and the big question of that is what set you on the path of painting miniatures, right? Um, and everybody has a different story as to what it was that put them on the path, and I like knowing what that story is, or being a part of someone's story, right? Because I'm sure that there were individuals that participated in New York this weekend that have now begun the journey of hobby painting, and who knows, in a couple years or so, they could be at Adepticon winning a golden demon or something. And when asked, when did what got you started painting miniatures? And they go, well, there was this one time at New York Comic Con, I just happened to come across this paint and take. And I don't know what it was about it, but I got really into it because of that. And it was a great experience or whatever. And here I am now winning a golden demon. Those are, I want to be a part of that story with some people, right? Or just being a part of the story where there's like, yep, we participated in a paint and take at a local game store, and now we make it a weekly event for our family, and our kids love it, and we now play more games and unplug from streaming services and YouTube channels and stuff to sit down and paint once a week, and I think that would be great.
Yeah, the whole gaming legacy and lineage, like where did it come from? What
Hmm.
path did you start on? And yeah, you remember those first games you played, and if they're big or small, or like the first comic books you picked up. I remember,
Yeah,
that it was like a Rite Aid, or I don't even know if it was a Rite Aid. It was some small pharmacy back in the day, and it was a Captain America, and then an Avengers, and it was the Avengers with who's the swordsman, right? It was
no, no, the Black Knight.
no, it was what's his name? It was Hawkeye. Their costumes were, crazy back then, right? This is
Yeah.
like '80s. And the swordsman, it was the guy that was in the
Oh, the
the, Hawk,
Hawkeye
the
show.
Hawkeye show, which is really weird
Hmm.
because when it happened and it was like he's the swordsman, I was like, I actually have this comic book, and it's like he's not really in the series very much.
Right.
Um, so it was kind of a weird thing. But anyways, then we got like a weird Green Hornet after that, and then onto usual suspects of like X-Men and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like that, I still have those, right? And that
Hmm.
nostalgia's like still in the same sleeves and box in my basement, and
Right.
transported from the parents' house. But that like led me down the path of wanting to like draw and do art and different things like that. And later on getting
Hmm.
into games, and it's all connected.
It's all connected. And like I said, and like you just said, is if you have a great experience with something from painting, from gaming, from a comic book, purchase or whatever, and it like seeps into into you as far as like this is something I can see myself doing on the regular. Um, Being a part of that experience for someone is really what I enjoy because I had so many great experiences in in my hobbies, right? And they wouldn't be my hobbies if I didn't have a great experience with it. But because the Red Dragon in Otisville, Michigan, was like one of my first gaming stores I ever went to, and they were, I was a foster kid growing up, and they were my first gaming store while I was in foster care, and they really like took me in, and were really kind and stuff, and understanding of my situation, and provided a lot of amazing experiences in gaming there. And I started painting miniatures while I was there, and this is like the mid '80s.
Yeah, how old were you when you first came in there? I
I
was
was
16.
16.
Very cool.
Yeah, and yeah, so many good memories from that has bled over to wanting to give other people great memories around the things that brought me joy, right? Because you don't know anybody's true situation, right? They might be in a funk, and then the next thing you know, you you give them a miniature for free, and they're like sitting down painting it, and they have a wonderful time, great conversation with whoever's around, and next thing you know, that funk has been changed,
Yeah, it's
and now,
a beacon of light, right?
yeah,
It's a new lifeline into something
mhm,
different. The
yeah,
and it's easy when you're feeling down on yourself. But if you do
mhm,
have like a hobby like that that you can really just
yeah,
close off things and just like really get into it, it
yeah.
can be life changing.
Oh, absolutely. And so doing that in the hobby, providing those kinds of opportunities for escapism. Uh, Not that I want them to like get so far into the escapism where they don't ever come back out of it, but uh,
Mazes and Monsters with Tom Hanks, you know.
yeah, which was a story based on Michigan State University, which is a mile from my store.
Right, right.
But yeah, but having people come in, or having people at an event with it have a great experience, uh, and getting them into the hobby is, I think, super fun, super important, and I like being a part of all that. And I think that's what this show also provides too. Is there's going to be somebody on Twitch that's going to be just flipping through, surfing the channels, and is going to go, hey, what is it? What are these guys talking about? What are they doing? You know what? They really have a passion and a joy for painting miniatures, hanging out. I'm going to go try that. And boom, we got another person in the hobby that is finding joy in it. And that's just the best. And yeah.
I think one of the things that really like drew me to kind of this hobby was it's a good gathering of friends, right?
Hmm.
Um, but it's different than just watching a movie and or playing a video game. Like you're actually like rolling the dice or flipping through cards or
Hmm.
reading text off page. Um, maybe using a dry erase marker or whatever is on on your map or whatever it is, and moving scenery around, doing like you're actually depending what you're playing, moving the little pieces around. Um,
Hmm.
it's totally like more of an immersive for me experience.
Yeah. And if you have a good experience, you want to continue to do it, right? Unless you're at like the Michigan GT and getting your hand smacked by another player in Age of Sigma, right?
Yeah, I played Michigan GT. I'm terrible at AOS, but I do still love it. So, but yeah, you paint your army up. You've invested the time, the money to build your army out. I'm playing Zinch, Disciples of Zinch, kind of a magic wielding army, but they're kind of glass cannons. So you gotta castle up and hold back and like kind of slow play, which you
Hmm.
know y- it's tough when you're going against a real killy army, if you will. That's just a meat grinder. That's just gonna like charge and they get you on charge and they can just grind you down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the last time I saw Rick, I was getting my butt beat over at the Michigan GT, and actually, it was a year ago from the Michigan GT is when I met Rick,
Yeah.
and we sparked this great relationship, and
Here
yeah,
we are.
we're able to produce some fun stuff for everybody.
Yeah. And here we are, making things happen, doing the dance, if you will. So I'm like basing overall the primer on this like amalgam rat creature thing, with this like brownish, um shoot, where did it go? I don't even see it right now. It's like a tan hide thing. Um because I like the color better. And what's kind of neat is the primer that I use. The color from the primer looks is a great like um, undercoat.
Oh yeah, it's looking great. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, those highlights are really
yeah,
popping through, and
yeah.
then yeah, once you throw like a dry brush on some of that.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's gonna look really cool, and it'll be fun because this is gonna be part of the one shot that I'm gonna run for the folks at the store. Is I'm gonna use this creature and the Rat King and the Were Rats here in the scenario, which I think will be super fun. And always, when you think about when you table something painted over not painted, the immersion, as you had just mentioned, is amplified due to the paints that you add to your creatures or to your characters, um, which again adds to the fun and entertainment of the game that you're about to play. So
I love that scale as well, kind of that heroic,
yeah,
larger scale. Um,
yeah, I feel like this is like a 28 epic or 32 epic because this rat, this were rat is going to be, if it were to be standing straight up, it'd be probably head and shoulders taller than a normal miniature, right? So they've given them a little bit of an epic scale, which I do also appreciate. So yeah. So for those of you that are watching, what are you currently playing that has miniatures as part of the game? Uh, we have a few people watching, and if you can respond, let us know because we'd like to know what everybody out there is getting into and playing. We don't want to just be talking to ourselves here. Mark is great company, but
I'll talk about nothing for hours, but I'm trying to hang back a bit.
we want to also talk to y'all.
I think we see like 6 to 10 of you guys on there.
Hmm.
Did you guys get to go out to Gen Con this year? That'd be interesting to
Yeah,
hear your guys' story. Anything cool that you saw?
yeah. Or what's your favorite local con? That's another really fun thing about our hobby is there's so many conventions being popping up across the states and the world dedicated to our hobbies. Not just Comic Cons, we got all these amazing gaming conventions that take place now. And which ones are you attending? And what are the things that you seek out at those events? We'd like to know all that stuff. That's all fun, good things.
What's the next up and coming one that you're going to be out at, Rick?
Well, I would love to be in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend, starting on Friday, but because that's Gamehole Con, and it's a super fun role playing exclusive convention where a lot of the industry talent in the role playing space will be at promoting and running and just hobnobbing. So I would love to be there, but we got a lot of things going on at the store this weekend, and I want to be around for those things. But the next show I will be at is PAX Unplugged in December in Philly. Yeah. Not as a paint and take. I'll be there teaching painting classes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, big weekend for Michigan and Michigan State football, which I'm not a big sports guy, but yeah, it's a big rivalry. They play for the Paul Bunyan. They have a big Paul Bunyan trophy that
Oh,
they play for this game.
I don't know how they got permission to use my likeness, but whatever.
I thought you were the Blue Ox. I don't know. Oh, okay. Just
Do I look like Babe the Blue Ox?
he
Maybe.
laid down and he made like Lake Michigan or something like Lake Superior maybe.
Yeah, something like that. And then when he dragged his axe across, and he created the Mississippi River and all this other stuff, it's like this guy.
He ate like a whole like the stack of like when he cut down like all the trees in one swipe and he'd eat like all the stacks of pancakes. I used to
Yeah,
love that book as a kid.
yeah. Paul Bunyan is a great folklore character, and it's very popular in like Wisconsin and Michigan, and I think Minnesota. are the three states that really pay homage to him.
The very tree-bearing states, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like Pennsylvania would get down on some of that. A lot of trees in Pennsylvania as well.
there are, but they have, I think, their own cryptids and legends. So that I don't think Paul Bunyan's really a part of.
Did you drive through like Youngstown in Pennsylvania, that whole shot? Did
No.
you guys go through Canada?
No, we
No,
didn't
that
go
would
through
make
Canada.
sense.
Canada? No. The only reason I go to Canada is for a trade show and maple syrup.
It's like what was that old John Candy flick? It was Canadian Bacon.
Oh, what a great one.
Yeah.
Someone once said that I look like John Candy.
I wish you were as funny as him. No, I'm just kidding. I think you're
Oh,
actually I think you actually are very funny.
thanks, man. Good God.
It's not as funny as John Candy. John Candy was great, though. I mean, like
He was a
all the
legend.
movies, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, The Great
Uncle Buck.
Outdoors, Uncle Buck. That's great. Speaking of pancakes, he's flipping the pancake. That was Macaulay Culkin's first, shout out, right?
Was it?
Yeah, he was a little kid in that, and they did Home Alone, and
Okay. I didn't know that was his first role.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I saw that one in the theater.
In the theater, you say? Yeah, John Candy was a great talent. One of the things I really liked about it is his in The Great Outdoors was the whole bald-headed bear of Clare County, right? And so here in Michigan, we've got Clare County, Michigan, right? And I was like, man, that should have been in Michigan in Clare County. They could have really played on it and turned it into like a whole touristy thing because Clare really needs that. But there is a role-playing game called Kids on Bikes, which is kind of like, it's not Stranger Things, but it's not like Stranger Things, if you will. And it basically takes place in the 80s, and all the kids are, they don't have cell phones and all that stuff, and they have all these conspiracy theories that they try to play on, and you can run adventures around that. So my whole thing is when I run that, it takes place in Clare County, and there is the bald-headed bear of Clare County and the thing is the bald-headed bear of Clare County isn't like going to try to eat you or anything like that. It just might show up and save the day. Like roll in if you're having trouble with like whatever obstacle you're dealing with, some sort of like Dow chemical agents or something like that.
Dow
What's that? But not like not like Dow chemical agents, like chemical agents, but like FBI agents.
Agents of, yeah.
Agents of Dow.
Yeah.
Right?
Not Agent Orange, right?
Right. So the bear might roll
This episode
in.
now sponsored by Dow.
Right. So the bear would show up and maybe like go after the agent so that you could get away to continue on your mission or on your explorations, if you will.
Right, yeah. Distract the baddies or scare off the big bad or something,
Right.
Like, yeah, he's coming out of.
And the kids are always like, "Oh no, it's the bald-headed bear of Clare County."
Oh man, I just foresee someone has like a cowbell that rings. They ring the cowbell and then he goes running back off in the woods or something. You know
Right?
what I mean?
Yeah.
They know how to get rid of them. But is that kind of like what was that the Steven Spielberg movies? Super 8.
Super 8, yeah.
J.J. Abrams. Yeah, kind of that vibe.
Yeah.
People don't know.
Yeah, or like the movie Silver Bullet.
I can't believe you just brought up Silver Bullet. I literally brought up Silver Bullet last weekend. My mother-in-law was talking about how she used to really love reading Stephen King, and I was like, the Silver Bullet, it was a very short story, right? But then the movie was epic.
Agreed.
The guy in the wheelchair, right? He was in a wheelchair, but his was it his uncle? I think his uncle like made a motorcycle front, and he'd be cruising like this, right? He'd be cruising down and on a bridge, and he's lighting, bottle rockets and rockets off on this bridge, and lo and behold, what comes?
A werewolf.
A werewolf. Right? So very 'tis the season right now. And should we give the spoilers? Should we ruin it? I feel
no.
Okay, you should check it out. It's definitely one of the best Stephen King movies. The book, I was 8th grade, I think, when I read that. So definitely
Nice.
check it out.
That's hilarious. I loved Silver Bullet. But Silver Bullet, Goonies, Stranger Things, all kind of fit the theme and vibe of what Kids on Bikes is about. And so, of course, like I said, my um, environment that I play around is Clare County, Michigan, and I use actual locations in my games that, you know, if people knew, they'd be like, "Holy crap!" Like, so there's a Boy Scout campground up there called Rotary Campground on BB Lake, and when I was a kid, I lived near there briefly, and I had a friend that lived right across the street from there, and the like when I say kid, I mean like 9, 10, 11 ish. And in the winter, when the campground was closed, there would always be these trucks going on and off the campgrounds, right? So me and my buddy and his sister and my younger brother, we always would like get on our bikes and jump the fence, get onto the campground, and we'd like pedal through to find out why are these trucks over here. And so I've written a little scenario where it turns out that there's an underground base by Dow Chemical underneath BB Lake, and the lake is used to as a coolant system that funnels through this reactor like a thing that Dow was using to uh, create some sort of new chemical based on high heat exchange. Again, real physicists would be like, "You're an idiot."
I love it. It's like, how does that work? How did you make a radio out of a coconut?
Right,
Professor knows how to
exactly.
do it. You always
Right.
have the right, banana leaves and sand.
Yeah, all the things you would need to make a radio.
It's, I love all that. The MacGyver, I think, is the best. It's like, do you have a
Oh yeah.
paperclip, a piece of chewing gum, and like all of a sudden he's like, made C4 and he's blowing the door off. It's like
Right.
every episode. I don't know how he does it. I love it.
Well, because he's freaking amazing. He's MacGyver.
I'm kind of aging myself here with all these 80s and 90s references, but
Mhm.
anyways, I think retro is huge right now. Like
Yeah.
even some younger folks I know, they're like really getting into the retro TV, because you can watch all this stuff again,
Mhm.
which is pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. All right. Uh, so back to the were rats here. Uh, I'm enjoying these guys. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to have them uh, in this scenario I'm putting together for them with these torches. I'm just sitting here imagining like there's a threat to a village, a small village, and these were rats are going to try to come in and torch the village, but the party is there to find a cure for the raccoon's rabies. Yeah. Here, let me do this. See if that helps a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that colored hood, that's really nice. It's kind of interesting because rats, they're like a type of rat is a hooded rat, the ones that have like the dark,
Mm,
thing.
yeah.
So them wearing hoods was kind of ironic.
Yeah. Well, I always wonder too, is like, what are these rats derived from? Are these Norway rats? Are these black rats? Are these roof rats? Right? There's a lot of different breeds of rats.
New York City Comic Con rats.
Oh, well, those are dogs. Those are like
Those could be Mexican dogs. Yeah.
those are were rats because those things are not were rats, dire rats because they're freaking huge. Um, but no, again, it's a funny story about rats. I'm not going to talk about like my actual phobia towards rats.
You got like an Indiana Jones style phobia of rats here.
I do. I've told you the story of my rat phobia,
I
right?
don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, so in real life, not gaming world, I do have a real life phobia of rats. All right, and how that came to be is I was stationed in Hawaii, and I had to do part of my job as a Navy corpsman, and at the time I was what was called a preventive med tech, and we were the like food inspectors and health inspectors of the base, right? And part of that is doing rodent and pest evaluations at different locations, and we got a call from the officers club saying, "Hey, we think we might have some rats or mice or something." So I go over there, and yeah, they had the telltale signs that they had rats. Right. So how you can tell is along the baseboards of the different spaces, you'd see like an oily run line, right? Because rats like to have one side of their body touching something, right? And the droppings and all that stuff. And you could blacklight, and you had to, because as they're moving around, they're also peeing and stuff, and so you'd find all this right in your investigation and survey. Like, yep, you got rats. Now we got to find out where they're at. And so. Um, Looking around, kind of all arrows pointed to underneath the building. And in Hawaii, a lot of the buildings are on stilts, not high stilts, you know, maybe a couple in, 12 to 14 inches off.
Crawl space territory.
Right. And so I was there with two junior corpsmen. I was a senior, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to have them get under there and look, because, I wouldn't do something that they
Leading by example.
Yeah. So I put on my Tyvek suit over my uniform, and I get underneath there, and I crawl under, and there's like this little bermy ground, and I kind of get up over it, and it kind of wedges between my diaphragm and my ribs. But as soon as I get over and I look up, it's not a nest, it's a colony. And a colony, so rats are, they're scared of us. When you're around them, they're going to run away from you because they're scared of you. Even a nest, a small nest of 6 to 20 or whatever, would also kind of like skitter away. But a colony of hundreds, they don't care what you are, they defend the colony. And so the music stopped, the record scratched, all of them kind of like looked in my direction, and then they start crawling toward, like lurching towards you, right? Coming slowly. And you see their freaking front fangs and, you know, uh, their eyes of murder, right? And my legs are sticking out from underneath the building, like the Wicked Witch of the West.
I can just see it. I can picture it. Yeah.
And I'm yelling and screaming, like, pull me out, because I'm trying to shimmy back, but I'm lodged on that dirt, right? And I'm having a hard time. I can't lift the building yet. But they eventually grab my legs and pull me out. But the rats got like probably, it was probably like 3 feet from me, but I felt like it was like inches, right? And they would have killed me. They would have tore my face up. They would have launched, because that's what they do. They'll swarm you, right? And yeah, I don't want to think about that, right? I'm actually like getting goosebumps and sweaty a little bit. Just talking about this, but yeah. So ever since then, I've had a little bit of a not a fan. So
I don't blame you. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you've never really told me that, at least by the full story. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Is it amazing? I don't think so.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
So when I meet people that are like, "Oh yeah, I have a pet rat," and I'm like, "Nope, I will never visit your house." So, yeah, me and rats, not the best. But for some reason, I enjoy using them as creatures in my games. And now the internet knows my fear of rats, and they're going to use it against me. They're going to be like, "Rick hates rats." I don't hate them. I'm definitely scared of them. But I love using them. They're great villains. I can't wait to actually use these miniatures in an event. I got to find something that's pinkish, and then a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink to put on the ears and the tails of these rat creatures.
Show the softer side of these little rats.
There is no softer side. The tail is there for balance, to allow them to attack more efficiently.
I really want to see once you get this guy wrapped up, a little dry brushing on the big Rat
The
King.
big guy?
I'm really excited about that model.
Yeah, that model is really nice. Yeah, I'll do that as soon as I finish up the rest of the fleshy bits on this guy. All right. Okay. Oop, he did. All right. So I'm thinking with this one, the dry brushing is I want to use gray. Again, I just got to find a good gray, like field gray. There we go. Field gray by the Army Painter. Let's give it a good shake. Hopefully it won't be too separated. And I can find a good spot on my palette here to dollop it. Oh yeah. And we'll use this wonderful dry brush, the Phalanx. I think it's the Phalanx Speed by Game Envy. We'll do the whole dry brush here. So for those of you watching that aren't familiar with dry brushing, you're going to put the paint on your brush and you're going to actually wipe it off. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you're wiping it off only to the point where it looks like you're not wiping anything off. But when you take your miniature, you don't go with the grain. You're going to go against it just to hit those high points. And some of that color will come back off and hit those high points on the miniature, giving it even more of a definition and separation and depth, providing more character, if you will, to the miniature that you're painting.
A must-do on dark miniatures, right? Something that has a darker base.
Absolutely. And what it also provides too is like another bit of story. Like the rat that they used to make this was the primary one might have been an older dire rat that had whose fur was going gray, but the Rat King was a big fan because this particular rat, this dire rat, maybe fought in many battles and had many scars, and they didn't want to lose this particular one to old age, so they found some sort of magics and sorceries to bind it with two younger rats to extend its life. And it turned out that it didn't work out so well because it became even more feral and dangerous, which is why it has these shackles and chains, but it breaks its bonds of to fight for freedom with its companion Ukla, the other rat, and Ariel, the princess rat. We'll call this one Thundar.
I missed that episode. Thundar the Barbarian.
That's right. It's my one IP I would love to work with. But anyways, yeah, so that's my story of this rat creature. Is the Rat King was like, I can't lose my most famous of warriors. I will bind them with younger, healthier rats to extend his life. And it just turned into this crazy amalgam of a creature and drove it mad. And the Rat King is now having to deal with that. Get him, my sinister beast. And this creature would be like, okay. And or it has, I could also see it being like, I don't know if I should do that. That doesn't seem right. They seem like nice folks. Oh yeah, no. The minute it smells blood, it goes into like a blood frenzy, like a shark.
What if Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a beef yoked out rat like that?
Oh my god. Yeah. But I don't think Splinter would merge itself with two other rats to gain that kind of beast mode persona.
No,
but you never know. The ooze might get him too.
Did you see that new Ninja Turtle movie?
I have not.
It's actually really good.
Is it?
Yeah, I was saw it on the plane, come back from Italy, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Nice. All right. I mean, I plan on watching it once uh, it's available on the service that I have, and it probably is. It's probably on Amazon already. So I just got to look. But I've really been diving deep into One Piece. Um, and oh my God. If you
The
have not,
animated or live action?
so I watched the live action and
Mhm.
was super impressed with it. Even though, my sons have both been like, you should watch it. You're really gonna like the anime. And I did, but I watched an episode that was deep into the series, and I wasn't really like, I didn't know what the story was or the uh, everything behind it. So I watched the live action. I binged it in like a day, right? And I was so impressed with what it really is all about. I mean, I got a little teary in a few of the scenes, and so I started watching the animated version, and I'm on like episode 163 or something now. And
Wow,
yeah,
you went deep quick. Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
about halfway through. I was out of town for a couple weeks, but
yeah,
yeah, about halfway through the live action. And I started the anime a little bit, and then I actually picked up the manga book 1, 2, and 3. It was like I
nice.
found on Amazon, so I'm digging into that a little bit for for I get that street cred, and then I actually picked up the
Mhm.
One Piece starter sets for the new ones that came out, like
For the
Monkey
card game.
D, and yeah, the new two starter sets
Yeah,
that came out.
yeah,
So I'm interested to pick up some booster packs at your store. So
nice.
start doing that. And I got a couple of friends that have been talking that up quite a bit. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool how it's snowballed quite a bit.
yeah. Well, again, I think because they brought the live action to the mainstream, and so many people have watched it now and have realized that, like, hey, there's there's a real like message to this. And for me, the message, and it might not be the same message for everybody, but for me, it's the ideas of having a dream, going all in towards your dream, and having a group of friends that are like 100% behind you, supporting you and supporting each other, and going on adventures in the pursuit of your dreams is freaking amazing.
And you
It's
like the nautical theme, anyways. Like you're a sucker
Of
for the
course,
because you're a Navy man, right? But even
correct,
before then, you enjoyed it. But
of course,
it's got a something new. But yeah, no, it is.
yeah.
I like pirates, anyways. It's always that old like pirates or ninjas. And pirates for
Which
me prevails, I think.
pirates and ninjas and Vikings? I mean, come on,
I mean, if it's American Ninja, Michael Dudikoff, I think we would both agree on this.
the best.
It's great, right? They're riding around on ninja motorcycles. It's a total '80s ninja flick, and it's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
don't we will never talk poorly of American Ninja. And if we do, it's because maybe it was remastered and we don't like the remastered version.
Was it remastered?
No,
Okay, okay.
they wouldn't spend the money on that.
No, no. Like it got real weird too. Like American Ninja 3 or 4. I don't know if it hit 4, but like 3, they were like zombie ninjas. Maybe they were going after. It was something like that, or they were like genetically engineered. Like they were
I
beefed
think
up.
they were genetically engineered.
Yeah, okay, something like that. It was
Yeah.
kind of like the universe.
CRISPR.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I love me a nautical themed story anyways. But what I got really like passionate about there for a second I didn't mention is on Netflix right now. And you know what? We are not sponsored by Netflix by any means, but if Netflix is watching, um, The Fall of the House of Usher is on right
Oh,
now.
okay, and that was what was it? The house on the not house on the hill,
No, Fall
Hill
of the House
House.
of Usher. The Fall of the House of Usher is Shakespeare or Edgar Allan Poe,
Okay.
right? So every episode is a part of the story, like the Telltale Heart.
But it is a Hill House. Like it was the guy that directed Hill House.
Oh, yeah,
It's the
maybe.
same cast, and it's like an
Okay,
ongoing thing. But yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing. They did a
So
really good job. I haven't seen it yet.
that series, I'm on like episode 6 or 7 right now. Of
Just came out, right? It came out
Oh yeah, like
Halloween season.
Tuesday or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Um, but I stayed up and watched it, and uh, it is creepy. It is well written. It is deep, um, and it is got the jump scares you would expect from like a good horror movie. Um, I am like really impressed with this show, and I don't particularly care for horror shows. in general. So I was like, golly. But
Yeah,
yeah.
if you're enjoying that, you definitely have to go back and watch that Haunting at Hill House. And there was another follow up that I
No,
can't.
I did
Oh,
watch
you did
that
watch
too.
that one. Did you
Yeah.
like it not as much?
It was okay, but I like this one because I read all the source material that they're using. I love Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
So having them do a reimagining of the different stories that Edgar Allan Poe wrote in a overarching story for the fall of the House of Usher is freaking brilliant.
Nevermore, right?
Yeah, I think that's the last episode.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I just started watching Wednesday. I was very late to the party on that. That's great.
Okay, yeah,
But
very
what
entertaining.
was the school they're going to?
Nevermore,
Nevermore, right?
Nevermore
Yeah. And then it
Academy.
was like
Yeah,
Edgar Allan Poe was one of their,
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
very good.
I have a Nevermore Academy lunchbox at the store.
Oh, very
Yeah,
cool. Good segue.
yeah. I mean, it's good stuff. So, if anybody's got any other like suggestions for some of the newer like horror slasher flicks that have come out recently that we should be watching, please let us know. Uh, Granted, like I said, I am not normally um, uh, someone that would watch those kind of things, but it is the season.
Halloween definitely is good. We used to always put the Munsters on, just as kind of like a
Yeah.
background, and that's kind of fun, anyways. What was the latest one? What's the thing in your closet? It's under your bed. It's like an old
The
urban
Gremlin,
legend. No, it's
the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. That's the movie I saw. I also watched. So I was on a plane for like 10 hours. So I was like watched 3 movies
Okay.
in a row. And yeah, it was the Boogeyman.
All right.
That was decent. It was all right
Okay. All right.
for a Halloweeny.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. I'm hoping that somebody watching would give us some suggestions too. Let us know like what are some other fun, spooky like shows that we should go towards. I watched some of the Saw series. Um, the first one was the best, at least in my opinion. Um, Also, I like the fact that Dina Meyer's in Saw, so she's my one and only celebrity crush. Dina Meyer. Yeah, I I adore her. I think she's one of the most attractive women out there. She played Diz in Starship Troopers, so that's where I like was like, oh, she's so beautiful.
I was late to the party for that one as well.
Starship Troopers?
No, well, I saw it. No, I saw Starship Troopers, but no, to Saw. I seen Saw late.
You seen Saw?
I seen Saw late. I didn't watch any of the other ones, but the first one was good. It was better
Yeah.
than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I used to like horror movies a lot when I was, my parents wouldn't let me watch them, so I'd go over to my one buddy's house, Andy Evans, and God bless Kathy and Tom. They would always let us watch these movies, and they lived in Byron, which is like a smaller town over, and they didn't even have like a movie store. They had like one movie store that was downtown, but it wasn't always open. So you had to go to Duran, like the next town over, which is known for trains. It was like kind of, yeah. And then we would always rent like 3 or 4 slasher flicks or Night of the Demons or something crazy. You know what I mean? Get all spooked out and get sick on eating too many Twizzlers or cheese puffs or something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, that was always a fond memory of not only like Halloween, but yeah, just weekends over at the Evanses watching all these slasher flicks like Friday the 13th and like.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. And then did you ever see like Freddy vs. Jason?
Oh, of course.
The matchup. I mean, that was ridiculous, but yeah.
Well, the thing is I look at like all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. They were more comedy than they were actually like spooky, right? They were slashers, but they were comedy.
Most of them are comedy, yeah. Because he would always have like one-liners and stuff.
The cheesy one-liners.
Yeah, he's like, he's going through. I'm gonna cut you. I can't remember what he said, but yeah,
he had a lot of great one-liners. You could look them up on Google and be like Nightmare on Elm Street one-liners, and
all right, let me get into it.
Right. and I think that's another good thing about like this, like in particular, back to Animal Adventures, which is the miniatures that we're painting from Steamforge. These definitely fit the Halloween vibe, the were rats, and the trouble that they could bring to any campaign. So, because it has a very Halloween theme or vibe to it, so you should add them to all of your adventures over this next month. Bring out all of the were rats. But yeah, you find some Freddy one-liners? Freddy Krueger one-liners, the best.
They've got all they got all the quotes in here of like it's only a dream, but like come to Freddy, you know.
Right,
Um,
right. And you got to wonder, is like, in what context is that about? Ew. Um, wasn't there one where he's like, like one of the girls was like, he almost like had an affection towards her, and would say something like, you know, like I'm your boyfriend now, or some weird stuff like that.
yeah, I remember one too. I don't know if it was a Dream Child or whatever.
Yeah.
He caught somebody in like a roach trap. Do you remember this? And then like
Yes.
and like squeezed him and like the bug guts went flying out
Yeah.
or whatever.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
All the like, but when Freddy versus Jason, everything was one-liners in that one. And the actor who plays Freddy Krueger in those earlier iterations, um, was very much about the cheesy, uh, the one-liners. And I remember him in an interview basically saying that some of those one-liners were his because
Off
they
the
would
cuff, yeah.
yeah, they would ad lib or like improv like multiple takes on different lines, and sometimes he'd just throw some in there. I was like, God, that's amazing.
Yeah, Robert England.
England, yeah,
England. And,
uh,
Johnny Depp was in that, and I mean,
yeah,
Heather Langenkamp. Um, I'm gonna have to watch this one again. It's been a few years, but
yeah,
a classic.
yeah. It's about that time. We're getting close to the end here, but we got about a little less than 15 minutes left. But we need to, shout out our sponsors. Big shout out to Army Painter. If you haven't yet, go to your friendly local game store and check out the Army Painters lines of paint, to include their speed paints and 2.0, which is an amazing product. Definitely allows you to get miniatures on the table faster and ready to play. Also, big shout out to Game Envy, who provides the hobby handle, is known for the hobby handle, and also the phalanx brushes that I use during our broadcasts. They also have the pop-up cup, uh, um, that you put your water in to clean your brushes off, that you see in the opening sequence for the show. I did not have it today because I took all of those to New York with me, and I haven't unpacked everything yet. Um, and also to Mats by Mars, who provided this wonderful mat here with my mascot on here, my polar bear painter, um, the adventuring bard with a brush. And yeah, so thank you to them, and to Thunderford Studios, and of course Mark, our behind the scenes producer, who makes everything happen and makes me look moderately okay on camera. Um, we need about three less so I can like lose about 30 more pounds. And I think we'd be just perfect. But no, thank you, Mark, for everything.
Yeah, no worries. It's a pleasure.
Again, big shout out to Gen Con TV. Again, if you have not done it yet, please hit that heart, hit that bell so that you are both following and get the alerts when Gen Con TV goes live here on Twitch. So you don't miss Path of the Brush every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, but also you don't miss out on any of the other amazing programs that are on Gen Con TV, uh, which you can see in the what is it, the schedule below, where you can see what goes on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So make sure you do all that. Follow and subscribe, all the stuff that you can do. Um, all right, so I put some silver on the shackles for the were rat, the amalgam rat here, uh, and now I found some purple, but it's called orc blood. So I'm going to use that as the base on the tails of all the rats. And then I go back with some pink over top of that. See how that looks.
That's always fun.
Yeah. And then these will pretty much, I just have to do like the claws and the pinks of the ears and the noses on the rats as well. But I like putting purple on the rat tails before I put the pink, just because it's an interesting contrasting color to the rest of the rat, and then the pink goes over it. The purple is still kind of like underneath in those cracks and crevices, and it just provides for a nice little contrast to the whole model there and to the pink. All right. And like I said, I've been close enough to the real rats to know there might be a little hint of purple in that tail. I like it. And I cannot wait to throw these at a party of unassuming adventurers in an upcoming one-shot.
That guy just busts through the door, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
Don't hurt my father.
What?
The raccoon is my dad. Don't hurt him. Or this could be like a master blast situation.
Don't hurt him. He's just a child. Look at his faces.
Oh, I love it.
Who runs Bada Town? Master Blaster.
What did you think of the new Mad Max?
I really enjoyed the
cinematography of it.
Cinematography was great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about all I can say about it.
Right. I was kind of hoping like the main bad guy, you know, was who do you think I think it should have been?
It should have been Mel Gibson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
totally should have been Mel Gibson. I thought it was gonna be at one time until you had, you know, but it was not.
Yeah, if Mel Gibson would have turned out to be that main bad guy, that would have been what a great like
arc, right?
Arc, yeah. Because then you're gonna want to know like what happened to push him to that level, right? So
right, all that was remaining was war then, right?
Yeah,
battling.
Now I'm sitting here thinking that could have been the Rat King's kid. Don't hurt him. He's my child. Look at his faces. He's just a child.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it's Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, right? It's got Tina Turner. And I think what else? Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and Tupac, they did a California Love theme, like a video that was themed off of this as well. Do you remember this?
Yeah. The California Dreaming.
Yeah, California. Yeah.
Knows how to party. California knows how to party in the city of LA.
That's it.
Yeah, but with what was the reverb? Because it had that.
Yeah.
In the city of Compton. Keep it rocking, you know.
I'm curious as well. Like we got a couple weeks before Halloween.
Yeah.
What our people's costumes are. I don't know if anybody feels like I'm very last minute to get my costumes together. Like last year I was the Mandalorian. So I like to build something. So I splurged and bought the black helmet, Black Series helmet or whatever. And then I already had some like waxed canvas jackets and clothes and, a few accessories, but I made out of the gauntlets and everything out of this cardboard. There's this guy, we'll have to post it at one point here before Halloween, but you could do these scratch builds out of cardboard and you just use like the weird kind of like paper mache, but packing stuff you get from Amazon. And it looks pretty realistic. I mean, spray paint and all. If you get real close, you can tell it's cardboard.
Okay.
But anyways, that's really fun. I had a little baby, right? And so she was Grogu and my wife was the frog. Grogu would eat. And so it was kind of fun. And but yeah, what are you guys going to be dressing up as? And Rick, I know you're going to be doing kind of a Halloween thing at the shop.
Yeah.
Do you have? I'm sure you want to do a surprise, but do you have kind of ideas what you want to do?
I won't dress up.
Never, not even a wig, nothing weird. Weird
Nothing.
shirt,
Nope.
sunglasses.
Nothing. I dress up for one holiday, and it's not Halloween. If people know me on social media, they know what I dress up as.
I feel like you should dress up for that for Halloween.
No.
It would be great. I've always had a hankering to do a whole, a gang of folks that is Santa. If you don't know what he's talking about, he's a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny. I think it'd be funny to get the menagerie of them all together, and then they're just like, the party.
So you're all about the Guardians.
I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
the Rise of the Guardians, right?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what it is, right?
So you have Santa, Easter Bunny, who's Australian, voiced by Wolverine. You have Jack Frost, the Tooth Fairy, and the Sandman.
Is this a comic?
It's a cartoon.
The Rise, really? I've not seen it. I don't know where. I've been living under a rock.
Yeah, it's not like a recent one either.
Okay.
It's a cartoon movie called Rise of the Guardians, and it's got Jack Frost as your main character.
Oh, I have. I know what you're talking about now.
And then, but no, I dress up like Santa Claus and do some content because I am known as Tabletop Santa. I'll grow my beard out through No Shave November, and I will be Santa Claus for content for TikTok and other platforms, promoting gaming and unplugging from the world of tech to enjoy tabletop games, comics, and toys.
Because that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
A little bit of nerdery.
Yeah, that's right. 100%.
A celebration of nerdery. And it should be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I got the tails done. As far as with the purple, I will put some pink on there. But that'll come after because, ladies and gentlemen, that is this week's episode of Path of the Brush. Again, a big shout out to Gen Con TV and to Mark and everybody watching that have come and gone throughout the episode today. Thank you so much. And if you're catching this on the flip side at the end and playing it back, thank you as well. Until next week, I am Rick. That was Mark. And we hope that you check out your local game store. Mark turned on his mic and ruined it. Go ahead, Mark.
Have a wonderful evening.